In the vast expanse of the cosmos, where stars and planets spun in silent grace, the Galactic Council convened in their grand hall on Centauri Prime. This assembly, a coalition of various alien species, had long governed the myriad star systems with a semblance of peace and order. Yet beneath the surface of diplomatic gestures and forged alliances, a storm brewed, a storm that would soon envelop humanity and the galaxy in its wake. Humanity had joined the Galactic Council 2 centuries ago, after their first daring jumps into hyperspace brought them into contact with other spacefaring civilizations. With their vibrant cultures and relentless drive for exploration, humans were initially welcomed as equals. But over the decades, envy and fear took root in the hearts of some older, more established members of the Council. Humans were newcomers, yet their rapid technological advancements and expanding territories began to unsettle the ancient balance of power. On the eve of the 200th anniversary of humanity's induction into the Council, an emergency session was called. Unknown to the human delegates, the meeting's agenda had been altered at the last minute by the enigmatic Thalraxi, an influential member species known for their strategic cunning and cold logic. Ambassador Lucas Gray, the senior human delegate, sensed the charged atmosphere as he entered the Grand Hall. The towering arches and gleaming panels of the chamber seemed to pulse with a foreboding glow. Whispered conversations hushed as he took his seat, the weight of many eyes upon him. Elder Zarn, a Thalraxi and the presiding officer, initiated the session. His voice, though calm, carried an undercurrent of triumph. "Esteemed members of the Council," he began, "we stand at a crossroads. Recent intelligence suggests a concerning acceleration in human military capabilities. Their expansion poses a potential threat to the stability of the galaxy." Murmurs filled the hall as the accusation hung in the air. Lucas rose, his face a mask of composed defiance. "This is preposterous," he declared. "Humanity has always acted within the laws set by this very council. We seek peace and cooperation, not domination." Elder Zarn silenced the room with a raised hand. "The evidence speaks otherwise," he countered, displaying holographic images of human warships. Images that were, unbeknownst to Lucas, doctored to show an aggressive fleet massing near sensitive borders. The session spiraled into heated debate. One by one, species that had once stood by humanity questioned their motives, swayed by manipulated data and orchestrated testimonies. The culmination of the session was swift and brutal. Humanity was to be suspended from the Council and their territories placed under temporary oversight. Lucas left the hall in disbelief, his mind racing. The betrayal was complete, engineered with chilling precision. The Galactic Council, under the guise of peace, had effectively neutralized one of their most dynamic members. Back on Earth, the news of the Council's decision spread like wildfire. Outrage and disbelief gripped the human colonies. The United Earth government, presiding over dozens of planets and space stations, responded with uncharacteristic speed. Fleet Admiral Catherine Lee, a veteran of interstellar conflicts, received the order she had anticipated yet dreaded. "Prepare the fleet," the message read. "Protect our people and our sovereignty." As ships powered up and troops rallied, humanity's response was neither panicked nor reckless. It was measured, fueled by a resolve to reclaim their place in the galaxy and to confront those who had dared to undermine their existence. The engines of war ignited, casting a shadow that would soon fall across many worlds. The stars, silent witnesses to countless dramas over eons, watched as the human fleet assembled. A fleet not of conquest but of liberation. For in the heart of every human burned the unquenchable fire of freedom, and the galaxy would soon learn that to betray humanity was to invite their indomitable wrath. In the shadow of betrayal, the human fleet surged forward, a vast armada slicing through the void of space with precision and intent. Admiral Catherine Lee stood at the helm of the flagship Indomitable, her gaze fixed on the star-studded blackness ahead. Her crew, seasoned by countless drills and real engagements, operated with a silent efficiency that spoke of unspoken resolve and simmering anger. The destination was the Madoran system, a strategic point controlled by the Thalraxi that overlooked critical hyperspace routes. Taking it would not only deal a significant blow to the Thalraxi's influence, but also send a resounding message to the Council. Humanity was not to be trifled with. As the fleet approached the outer edges of the Madorian system, the cold void was punctuated by the glow of ion drives and the pulsing lights of sensor arrays. The Indomitable's main screen lit up with the signatures of Thalraxi defensive stations and patrolling warships. Admiral Lee's lips thinned. "Engage stealth protocols and ready all squadrons. This will be a swift strike," she commanded, her voice cutting through the murmured consultations of her tactical advisors. Simultaneously, on dozens of human worlds, broadcasts of the fleet's movements were streamed to public squares and holoscreens, uniting the populace in a collective vigil. The betrayal had ignited a fire in every human heart, a unity forged in the furnace of shared outrage. The first engagement was a dance of destruction. Human ships, equipped with the latest cloaking technologies and electromagnetic pulse weapons, emerged like specters from the void. Thalraxi defenses, taken by surprise, scrambled to respond, but humanity had learned much from centuries of cosmic chess. Their tactics were unpredictable, their maneuvers unreadable. In the ensuing chaos, Thalraxi ships found themselves outflanked and overwhelmed. Admiral Lee watched as each enemy vessel that exploded into stardust marked a small, bitter reclaiming of their tarnished honor. "Press the attack. Let no ship escape to warn the others," she ordered, her voice devoid of triumph, only resolve. As the battle turned decisively in their favor, a secondary fleet of human ships, led by the cunning Captain Ramos, executed a feint towards the neighboring Anari cluster, drawing further Thalraxi forces away from Madorian. This maneuver allowed human forces to land on Madorian 3, where they quickly established a beachhead. The ground assault was as relentless as the space offensive. Human marines clad in powered exoskeletons stormed Thalraxi fortifications under the cover of orbital bombardments. Their advance was covered by drones and AI-controlled gunships, which swept the skies clear of enemy aerial units. As the sun set on Madorian 3, casting long shadows over the scarred battlegrounds, the Thalraxi commander, General Vorn, found himself cornered in his command bunker. The hologram of Admiral Lee flickered to life in front of him. "General Vorn, your defenses have fallen. Surrender your forces, and your lives will be spared." Vorn, his features hard as the rock walls that enclosed him, gave a curt nod. In that moment, the inevitability of the outcome became clear. The Galactic Council's betrayal had awakened a formidable adversary. With Madorian secured, the human fleet did not pause. Their message had only begun to echo through the galaxy. Admiral Lee turned her eyes to the next target, knowing each victory sowed the seeds of a new galactic order, one where humanity would no longer be underestimated or betrayed. The galaxies watched, and as distant stars bore witness, a new chapter in human defiance and resilience was written amidst the cosmic ballet of war and reclamation. The news of Madorian's fall rippled through the galaxy like a shockwave, stirring both fear and awe in the hearts of many species. The Galactic Council was in disarray, the Thalraxi's defeat broadcasting the vulnerability of even the most fortified systems. Whispers of a new power rising from the ashes of betrayal circulated in dark corners and opulent halls alike. Admiral Catherine Lee, aware of the growing perception of human dominance, called for a strategic pivot. The next phase was not just about military conquest, but about weaving a new tapestry of alliances that would ensure the stability of human-held territories and create a buffer against future betrayals. On the diplomatic front, Envoy Mara Jensen was dispatched to the Tarkin Federation, a conglomerate of merchant worlds whose trade routes had been squeezed by the Council's policies. Her mission was delicate, to assure the Tarkin leaders that their autonomy would be respected under a new order, one that favored fair trade and mutual prosperity over subjugation and exploitation. Meanwhile, Admiral Lee coordinated a series of precision strikes against isolated Council outposts, each action meticulously planned to avoid civilian casualties and to demonstrate the controlled yet undeniable power of the human fleet. These operations were not just tactical but highly symbolic, showcasing humanity's capability for restraint and governance, not merely conquest. Back on Earth, the heart of human resistance and resolve, scientists and engineers worked feverishly. Dr. Emily Harrow, a pioneer in quantum communications, spearheaded a project to develop a galaxy-wide network that would be free from Council surveillance, ensuring that the flow of information remained unimpeded and secure. As Mara Jensen navigated the political labyrinths of the Tarkin Federation, she found an unexpected ally in Minister Tavol, who shared her vision of a galaxy where trade was not a tool of control, but a pathway to mutual advancement. Together, they crafted a treaty that would later be known as the Pact of Shared Stars, a beacon of cooperative hope that other systems looked to as a viable alternative to Council rule. Simultaneously, in the shadows of nebulas and the silence between stars, secret meetings took place. Admiral Lee convened with leaders of other disenfranchised species, some once enemies, now potential allies. Each meeting was a delicate dance of diplomacy and strategy, as former foes united under the common cause of resistance against the Council's tyranny. One such meeting occurred aboard the stealth cruiser Vigilant, hidden in the asteroid belt of the Vrax system. Here, Lee met with the Zelfari emissaries, a species known for their stealth technology. Together, they brokered an agreement to share technology and intelligence, forming a covert alliance that would later prove crucial in the liberation of strategic systems near the Galactic Core. With each successful negotiation and each liberated system, the narrative of human vengeance evolved into one of liberation and new governance. The galaxy watched as humanity, once a victim of cosmic machinations, transformed into the architect of a new galactic paradigm. As the tide of war and diplomacy turned, Admiral Lee reviewed her holomaps, her eyes tracing the lines that connected stars and destinies. The web of alliances grew stronger, and with it, the resolve to not only survive, but to thrive in a galaxy that had learned the price of betrayal. With the Pact of Shared Stars solidifying, the Tarkin Federation and several other systems began to pivot their allegiances, recognizing the burgeoning human-led coalition as the new gravitational center of galactic politics. This shift was not lost on the Galactic Council, which convened in a series of crisis meetings to address the erosion of their authority. Amidst the strategic positioning and alliance building, Admiral Catherine Lee turned her focus towards the Gaspar system, a linchpin in the network of hyperspace lanes that connected major sectors of the galaxy. Control of Gaspar would not only cripple the Council's mobility, but also provide a staging ground for the final push towards the Council's core systems. The assault on Gaspar was to be a masterpiece of military coordination. Fleet Commander Raul Vega, under Admiral Lee's direct command, orchestrated a multi-pronged invasion that utilized both brute force and intricate subterfuge. Human fleets, now augmented with Zelfari stealth cruisers and Tarkin warships, approached Gaspar under the cover of a manufactured solar flare, masking their arrival. On Gaspar Prime, the Council's garrison was caught off guard. Human Marines alongside alien volunteers from the new alliance deployed via rapid orbital drops. The battle for Gaspar Prime was fierce, with urban combat that tested the resolve and discipline of Lee's forces. Drone swarms buzzed through the sky, engaging Council anti-aircraft units as ground troops moved through the cityscapes with precision. Meanwhile, Dr. Emily Harrow's communication network, dubbed the Harrow Web, proved its worth. Real-time intelligence flowed seamlessly between human command ships and their allies, providing a tactical advantage that had been sorely missing in past conflicts. This network also allowed for real-time broadcasts of the liberation efforts, galvanizing support across human territories and shaking the confidence of Council loyalists. In the diplomatic corridors, Envoy Mara Jensen continued her tireless work, now focusing on securing non-aggression pacts with neutral systems. Her efforts were diplomatic threads, weaving through the fabric of war, stitching together a coalition broad enough to challenge the Council's hegemony. As Gaspar fell, news of the victory spread like wildfire. Systems under Council control began to question their allegiance, and the seeds of rebellion sprouted in unlikely places. The Council, desperate to stem the tide, deployed their elite fleets to quash uprisings and reinforce key positions, but each move seemed only to drive more systems into the arms of the human-led alliance. Admiral Lee, reviewing the latest reports, knew the time was ripe to strike at the Council's heart. Plans for an assault on the Council's home system began to take shape, a complex operation that would require all the might and cunning the human fleet and their allies could muster. Hidden from the enemy's prying sensors, the human fleet began to gather at a secret rendezvous point near the edge of the Zelfari space. Here, the final preparations were made, the last alliances forged, and the battle plans drawn. The galaxy held its breath, watching as the once isolated and betrayed humanity prepared to rewrite the celestial map. As stars continued their slow dance through the void, the stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of the galaxy itself. The rendezvous point near Zelfari space buzzed with activity as the diverse fleets of the new alliance gathered. Ships of various designs and origins, each bearing the marks of their unique cultures, aligned under a common banner. Admiral Catherine Lee surveyed the assembled might, a testament to the unifying cause against the Council's oppression. The command deck of the Indomitable was a hive of strategic discussions. Maps of the Council's home system, a complex network of planets and moons fortified over centuries, covered the walls. Lee, together with her top advisors and allied commanders, pored over every detail. The upcoming battle required not only military might, but also an unprecedented level of coordination among the allied forces. Dr. Emily Harrow, ensuring robust communications, integrated advanced encryption into the Harrow web. This upgrade was crucial to secure strategic communications from Council interference and to coordinate simultaneous strikes across multiple fronts. As the final strategies were set, Fleet Commander Raul Vega briefed the pilots and captains. "Our approach will be through the Ortus Nebula," he explained. "Its dense gas and dust will shield us from the Council's long-range sensors. We'll emerge on their doorstep before they even realize we're upon them." In parallel, Envoy Mara Jensen conducted her own crucial mission, engaging with delegates from systems still under Council sway. Her objective was to fracture the Council's support further, offering assurances of autonomy and protection under the new alliance. Each agreement weakened the Council's position, sowing uncertainty and dissent among its ranks. The day of the assault dawned with a tense expectancy. The Allied fleets, cloaked by the nebula and silent as specters, moved towards their targets. The Indomitable led the charge, its hull resonating with the low thrum of the engines as they pierced through the cosmic mist. Emerging from the nebula, the Allied fleet revealed itself in a sudden, overwhelming onslaught. The Council's outer defenses, caught unawares, scrambled to mount a defense. But the precision of the Allied attack, honed by months of preparation and hardened by resolve, shattered the initial resistance. Orbital platforms fell one after another, as Zelfari stealth fighters disabled key communications nodes, causing chaos within the Council's ranks. Tarkin cruisers, robust and heavily armed, engaged Council dreadnoughts, their broadsides tearing through the enemy shields. On the ground, human marines and their alien allies launched from dropships, taking control of strategic installations. Each foothold gained provided the invaders with further leverage, each victory bringing them closer to the Council's central command. As the battle raged, Admiral Lee directed her forces from the bridge of the Indomitable, her calm voice a steady presence amid the storm of war. The Council's core fleet, finally rallied, made a desperate attempt to repel the invaders. A fierce space battle ensued, starships weaving and dodging through a deadly ballet of laser fire and explosive debris. Amidst this chaos, an unexpected message arrived via the Harrow web from an unlikely source within the Council itself. A high-ranking officer, disillusioned by the Council's manipulations and fearful of the impending defeat, offered a crucial piece of intelligence: the location of the Council's leadership hidden in a fortified bunker on the primary planet. Seizing the moment, Lee redirected a segment of her forces, including elite commando units, to capture the Council leaders. The operation was risky, with narrow margins for error, but the stakes justified the gamble. As the commandos descended on the bunker, a fierce ground battle erupted. Every step forward was contested with ferocity by the Council's last loyal defenders. But the resolve of Lee's forces, driven by a yearning for freedom and justice, pushed them onward, deeper into the heart of the enemy's lair. The battle for the Council's central command was both brutal and swift. The commando teams, led by Captain Anna Soren, breached the bunker defenses using a combination of brute force and advanced hacking techniques provided by the Zelfari allies. The corridors echoed with the sound of gunfire and the sharp orders of human and alien officers coordinating their advance. Inside the bunker, the council leaders, a mix of species from across the galaxy, huddled in their command room. They had watched in disbelief as their supposedly impregnable defenses crumbled under the relentless assault of the human-led alliance. Now, as the sounds of battle drew nearer, fear replaced the arrogance that had once defined their rule. Admiral Catherine Lee, aboard the Indomitable, monitored the operation closely. Each report, each burst of static on the comms, brought news of incremental gains and costly skirmishes. The Council's elite guards fought with a desperation born of knowing their cause was lost, but the Allied forces matched their ferocity with disciplined resolve. As Captain Soren's team reached the command center, the door was breached with a controlled explosion. The Council members, cornered and overwhelmed, were swiftly taken into custody. The sight of the once mighty leaders, now prisoners of war, was broadcast across the Harrow web, signaling the end of the Council's reign. With the leadership captured, the remnants of the Council's forces surrendered or scattered, their will to fight evaporating in the face of inevitable defeat. Across the galaxy, news of the victory spread rapidly, igniting celebrations on countless worlds. Systems that had hesitated to join the new alliance now came forward, eager to be part of the emerging order. In the aftermath, Admiral Lee addressed the galaxy from the Council chamber, her image transmitted to every corner of civilized space. "Today marks not the triumph of conquest, but the birth of a new era," she declared. "An era where no single power will dictate the fate of others, where each system has a voice, and where our shared challenges are met with cooperative strength." The formation of the Galactic Coalition was announced, a new governing body that would operate with transparency and represent the interests of all member species. Envoy Mara Jensen was appointed as its first president, tasked with guiding the galaxy through its rebuilding process. The transition was not without its challenges. Old rivalries and deep-seated mistrust lingered, but the framework for a more equitable system was slowly established through treaties and shared goals. Humanity, once seen as a rogue newcomer, was now respected as a liberator and a unifier. Years later, historians would mark this period as a pivotal turning point in galactic history. The tales of battles fought and alliances forged would be studied and retold, not just as a testament to human tenacity, but as a reminder of the power of collective action against tyranny. As peace settled over the galaxy, Admiral Lee retired from her command, her legacy defined by the role she played in reshaping the galaxy. She returned to Earth, not as a conqueror, but as a veteran of a war that had freed countless lives from oppression. The stars, once battlefields, were now pathways to new adventures and explorations, under a coalition that promised to look to the future with hope rather than fear. The galaxy had learned its lesson. The cost of betrayal was high, and the price of freedom, eternal vigilance.